What is going on? Welcome into New York City. I'm Bill Reiter. We got a great show planned for you. Mike Martz, the former head coach and offensive coordinator in the NFL, going to talk some playoff football and the evolution of the game. And we put together a very special children's nursery rhyme for Adam Gase. And a lot more starts right now. All right, let's start a little NBA. Why not? We haven't done that in a while here on the program. Let's focus on the Boston Celtics. They've lost 3 in a row, and there is turmoil with the team that nearly made the finals last year. LeBron James got in the way, but he's not in the way this year. He won't be. He's in the Western Conference, and so the frustrations are mounting with the guys in green, largely from Kyrie Irving. I'm a big Brad Stevens guy. I don't know that screaming at your head coach for any reason, especially when he's Brad Stevens like this, qualifies as just being passionate. But in case you think I'm reading too much into it, in case you're saying, oh, Ryder, you're just being one of those media guys creating a story where there is no story, no, Kyrie really is throwing his guys under the bus. And we know that because after that particular loss to the Magic, he threw much of his team under the bus this way.
These are a lot of things that I don't think that some of my teammates have faced of just every single day. It's not easy to be great. You've gotten away with your youth and stuff like that. Being on a championship ball club, you can't get away with that.
I mean, to be fair, it's a little easier to be great when you play with LeBron James. It's not like Kyrie Irving has ever, not once, a single time, won an NBA playoff postseason game without LeBron James on his team. But I get it. A lot of the league views Kyrie through a very particular prism, the one that was created that he grafted onto his own reputation and resume in Game 7 of an NBA Finals when he did this. I was in Oracle. It was amazing. The dude out-dueled Steph Curry. It was a clutch shot. I got goosebumps talking about it. The shot to cap that 3-1 comeback for the Cavs. But, ladies and gentlemen, there are a few buts. It's an amazing moment. I'm not sure Kyrie Irving is quite the superstar that he thinks he is, and I want to go a little bit deep into the data here. His real plus-minus last year, 45th in the NBA. The year before that, 53rd in the NBA. In win shares last year, not even in the top 20. In fact, you can see it there, being a part of this Boston team, being around these young guys he just threw under the bus actually makes him markedly better. Maybe he should appreciate some of the talent, some of the young talent that he's playing with. His assists per game are up. His rebounds per game are up. You can see there the real plus minus all the way to 5th this season. All the stats from VORP to win shares where he's suddenly on the map because of these Celtics players that he is playing with. The reality is that Kyrie Irving has always needed help. He had it in LeBron, and he needs it now in a group of young guys who are pretty impressive and made an Eastern Conference Finals last year without him. This is a Brad Stevens coach team. It's a team in the true sense of the word. Yes, there's a lot of talent, but the talent finds its best version of itself when they play as a collective. And I think the perfect example here is Marcus Morris. This is a guy written off at other stops in his career who has been a huge force for the Celtics team this season. He's got numbers that make him look like a superstar, not because he's a superstar, because the dude has been willing to do what his team needs him to do. 15-6, the defensive energy he brings, the attitude he brings, that is what this basketball team needs. And it's interesting, right? Because you can tell the guys didn't appreciate Kyrie throwing them under the bus. There's discord at a place where there once was harmony. And Morris talked about the fact, after Kyrie called him out, that these guys just don't know who they are. They don't feel like they have an identity, which is interesting and unusual because normally when a group of guys go all the way to a conference finals together, when few people saw it coming, it brings them together and it bonds them together. In fact, Jaylen Brown is particularly put out, and he was willing to go there. This is pretty clearly him making it clear he doesn't love Kyrie Irving calling him and his teammates out for their so-called inability to win big games.
We just got to have each other's back at the end of the day. We can't make comments, we can't point fingers. We just got to continue to empower each other and have each other's back. If we don't, when we start pointing fingers, everybody's going to go into their own little shell. We got to continue to play basketball. It starts from the top.
Yeah, so he's talking about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie is the guy pointing fingers. And yeah, the whole flat earth thing annoys me. And the whole can't be with my team in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals because I'm having some kind of eye surgery annoys me. You can reschedule those things. The fact he forced his way out of Cleveland annoys me in combination with the fact that he's pulling this stuff now in Boston. But here's another reality. Kyrie Irving, as great as he is statistically, as much as we showed you win shares and all of those things, that's his team this year making him better. I'm not sure he's making his team better. Here's some interesting deep dives for you on the Celtics so far this year. Their overall record, 25-18. It's a win percentage of .581. Without Kyrie, win percentage is much better, 600. Reiter, you'll say, only 3-2. It's a 5-game sample size. But here's the interesting stuff. When Kyrie takes 20 or more shots, they are 6-7, below 500, obviously. When he takes 10 or fewer shots, they are 4-0. When he pulls back, when he goes full Klay Thompson, a great example, a guy that can literally score 40-plus points in a quarter, but often is the fourth wheel on a championship team. When Kyrie, it's rare, 4 times this year, just does other things, they haven't lost. Bigger sample size, when Kyrie Irving shoots the ball 15 or fewer times, they are 12-2. Kyrie Irving's a stud. I get it. He's a talented guy, there's no doubt. And if you're Kyrie Irving, you can let LeBron James before, this Boston, these young guys now, lift you to an NBA Finals, you'll be able to be the guy who takes the big shot at the end as long as you don't get in the way. If you don't like it, if you don't like the Celtics way, if you want to call out Brad Stevens, if you want to call out your young guys, if you want to pretend what they accomplished without you last year when you were injured didn't happen, Godspeed, go somewhere else. You're a free agent this summer. Come on to New York City and go with the Knicks. It'll be perfect. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. The Garden's amazing. And they don't play winning basketball. It will serve the guy that you have become post-LeBron perfectly. Hell, you can go with Kevin Durant. KD will then on a different day, similar kind of story. Yes, talent is amazing. Yes, talent is alluring. And yes, you need talent to win basketball games. But first and foremost, you need teammates who know how to turn that talent into a weapon for everybody, not a way to bludgeon guys on your side when things go wrong. Shame on you, Kyrie Irving. Stop becoming the latest self-centered diva in the NBA. Get out of the way. Celtics are good enough to make an NBA Finals if you do that. We're going to shift to a little NFL talk. Really excited about this. Mike Martz, one of the architects of the greatest show on turf, is going to join me here on the program. We'll talk the NFL. We'll talk RPOs. We'll talk Patrick Mahomes. We'll get into the Alliance of American Football. I'm really excited. It's coming up here, 30 seconds. Actually, more like 120 seconds. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back into the show. Earlier today, I had the chance to visit with Mike Martz, former head coach, former offensive coordinator in the NFL, Super Bowl champion, now with the Alliance of American Football, the San Diego Fleet. Great conversation. Think you'll enjoy it. Here it is. Coach, congratulations on the new job with the Alliance in San Diego with the Fleet, and thank you. Thanks so much for making time.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
So I remember being a young intern of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch way back when the greatest show on turf was about to unleash itself on the National Football League. When you look at all that's transpired and the way the game has evolved offensively, do you see the beginnings of what we're doing today in the National Football League and in football in general with what you guys did in St. Louis 2 decades ago?
Well, I think it was kind of the beginning of an era, more or less, and we were fortunate enough to be part of it. I don't know that we were the reason why it changed, of course, but I think it was the beginning of an era that throwing the football wasn't a bad thing anymore. You know what I mean? Football has changed a great deal. It's become much more open. The receivers are a lot more involved, of course, a lot more pressure on quarterbacks, and I think the game has really changed and evolved in a real positive way. I think it's much more fun for people to see these days.
Yeah, you know, we had this conversation the other day. We've seen in baseball, sabermetrics made a big impact on the game. The three-point shot used to be considered sacrilegious if you want to win a championship in the NBA, and the same with passing. As you were coming up and just trying to implement your vision, how much resistance did you get from folks saying, no, just slow down, it's the run game, it's defense, relax?
Well, when you have Marshall Faulk on your roster, of course, everyone wants to see you just keep turning and handing him the football, you know. But we were trying to win the best way we could. We kind of knew and understood the types of players we had in the perimeter. And everybody that we played defensively, their goal was to take number 28 out of the game. They were accounting for him first. And that first Super Bowl when we beat Tennessee, as you talked to Jeff, is like every defensive coordinator and defensive head coach, they're going to make sure Marshall's not going to beat you. Well, when they do that, we were fortunate to have some pretty good players at wide receiver, and of course, Kurt Warner. So that was the trend in '99. I think it created, like in that Super Bowl, so much man coverage. We just kept throwing the football because the matchups were so good, and they had one more than we could account for up front in the running game. So we were able to morph in and out based on what that defensive coordinator was trying to take away. And being able to do that, throw the ball, say, 17 times in a row, was pretty unusual at that time. It isn't anymore. And I think having Marshall created that opportunity.
You know, we're at a point now, we've evolved in 2018. This is the first time in both the AFC and NFC championship game with the 4 teams that are left that it's the top 4 offenses in terms of points scored per game that are represented at this stage. Have we, in your opinion, perhaps reached a tipping point where, and I'm not saying you don't prioritize both, but the focus needs to be on offense first and foremost if you want to win in the NFL?
No, I don't believe in that. I think it's just something that's happened. I don't think this is a trend. I think this is just by luck, if you will. I think that there's so many more people throwing the football effectively. It's put so much pressure on defenses, and there's some really unusually talented quarterbacks out there. I mean, look at the quarterbacks in the playoffs right now, those 4 teams. You put those 4 guys on a pedestal, they're terrific players. You know, you got obviously what perhaps may be one of the best to ever play the game, and all 4 of those guys are obviously elite players. And I don't know if that's happened before. I really don't. And then around that, the rest of it with the receivers and, of course, the running back. I do think that not having an off season in the NFL has really hurt this game. And I think it's hurt defensively because you can't teach guys fundamental football as much. I think it's probably a little bit more sloppy. And I really do think that that's an issue, and I think it has affected this game.
Interesting. So what do you think, if you were commissioner for a day or a week, what would the solution for you, from your perspective, be?
I would take the month of March and April, as it used to be, with no competitive work, offense against defense with these clubs, but to be able to go out and teach routes and quarterback footwork and linebacker keys and teach DBs to backpedal, the concepts and all the things that you have to squeeze into camp that used to take two months in the off season. You had a bunch of old vets in the last negotiation get rid of all that because they didn't want to do it. Well, what that did is it jeopardized the future of this game because all these young players come in, they didn't get the preparation that those old vets that did that deal had the opportunity to have. It's unfortunate and it's tragic, and it's affected the quality of play.
That's really interesting. We got 4 teams who are left. One of them, your Rams organization, obviously in Los Angeles now. We're in Los Angeles before they were in St. Louis. Going down to New Orleans, that's a tough place to play. Drew Brees, Sean Payton as a tandem have never lost in the playoffs in that dome. What do the Rams have to do to try to win this football game?
The Rams just got to be the Rams. I mean, they got here for a reason. I mean, they don't have to do anything differently than what they've done all year long. You know, he's done a great job of morphing in and out of the running game and the passing game based on what the defensive structures are. And defensively, they've come up with big plays when they needed it. Defensively, they've gotten a lot better as the year went by. But they cannot get away from the running game. And when I say that, I don't mean how much they run the football. They just have got to be consistent in their series and not leave it for any length of time because he's really a big factor. And that being said, you get an extra guy up there and they're getting all this pressure defense, then the quarterback's going to have to win that game for him with those wide receivers.
Who do you like in that game? Or, early prediction, best guess. Who do you think gets the best of the other team?
I don't do predictions.
You're smarter than I am. I do predictions
I
on
don't
radio.
know. I really don't know. Obviously, I want the Rams to win. There's no question about that. But I really don't know. I tell you the one thing, I have so much great respect for Drew Brees and his career and what he's accomplished. Just that in itself, you'd like to see him continue to excel and be at the top. But obviously the Rams, I want that football team to win. I want them to win the Super Bowl. You can't be in an organization for 12 years and then walk away and not be attached, right?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And part of the equation this time around of success, Sean McVay, and no one's arguing with his success and what he's done and his football acumen. We are seeing a lot of folks who are a similar age to Sean McVay, folks who have worked for Sean McVay for a very short time, getting head coaching jobs. In some cases, and I'm not trying to pick on Zach Taylor, but reportedly could get a job having never been a coordinator in this league. What do you make of teams looking for what feels like a McVay 2.0 again and again and again the last few weeks?
The owners are funny. It's just like Sean Payton. You know, if you can get a young coach and pay him a low salary, basically, in the league, and have him win a bunch of games, that's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. They only have one Sean McVay. There's just one of them. Now, this isn't a prototype. They don't just churn these things out. He's unique. He's very special, as is Sean Payton. You know, these are, and for some reason, the league thinks that they're all out there. They're not. You know, these good coaches, they come in all kinds of sizes and shapes and ages, and you know, the younger generation coaches, they're all not going to be Sean McVay. You have to understand how different and special this guy really is. Just because somebody's been with him doesn't mean he's going to be the next Sean McVay. It just doesn't work like that.
It seems obvious, but I'm not sure that it has been to some of the folks who are making decisions around the NFL. We've also got an AFC championship game, and you've got the biggest gulf we've ever seen in age between starting quarterbacks in the playoffs. You've got the storied history of the Patriots and this Chiefs team that's trying to exercise some demons in the playoffs. How do you, if you're, easier said than done, but how do you, if you're the Patriots, try to, you're not going to stop, but slow down Mahomes in this really, really fun offense in Kansas City?
I don't think you can. I think they're going to have to try to be smart and keep pace. Just remember this: if every Bill Belichick coach team that you've watched over the last 16, 17 years or whatever it's been, one of the major reasons they win is they don't do stupid stuff. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make bad decisions. They don't get out of position. They do what they're supposed to do. They just hang in there, and eventually you'll make a mistake and you'll beat yourself. I mean, he's lived on that. Whether he's better than them or not, he's so good, and they're so good at the details of the game and not making errors. You have to be careful with that. Now, that being said, he has to try to keep pace with his team. They're not going to shut them down. I don't think you can shut Mahomes down, but you're going to have to slow him down a little bit and play field position in the respect that you've got to keep drives and come away either putting that ball deep in their territory or getting a score of some sort, 3 points or a touchdown. But if you end up playing that game on your side of the 50-yard line, the Patriots will have a hard time. That is a high-octane offense. That's probably my favorite quarterback in the league right now. I just loved watching that young man play.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I want to ask you about something that hasn't made a lot of national news, but in a lot of local locker rooms, guys have complained about this that have lost to the Chiefs, and Jake Plummer brought it up here on this show yesterday, and that's the notion that some people who have played the Chiefs think that RPOs or the rules governing them need to change a little bit because of linebackers downfield and some of the things Mahomes is able to do physically with the way the rules are constructed now. Just as an offensive-minded guy yourself who have revolutionized the game, do you have a problem with the way that RPOs, especially in Kansas City, are able to operate given the rules in the NFL right now?
No, what you're going to do is you're going to change the rules in for one player, Mahomes. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Come on. You got great. Why don't you change the rules for Tom Brady because he's such a good passer? That's ridiculous. I mean, he does this and he does it so well. The rule also says if he goes through a play fake, you can take him out. You can take him out. You don't know whether he's got the ball or not. So all those RPOs is like an option. And the rule does say, even though clearly he comes off that fake and doesn't look like he's got the ball, you can take him out on defense. That's in the rule. They left that in there. So all that whining and complaining is a bunch of garbage. You're starting to make special rules for special plays. Don't be ridiculous.
I love it. All right, that's getting clipped, Coach, for sure. Before we let you go, what kind of offense do you want to run with the Fleet in San Diego, and what is it about the alliance that attracted you to this opportunity and that we can look forward to in February on CBS?
Well, we're going to run an offense based on what we have. I'm very pleased with the wide receiver group. We've got a nice running back or two, and our quarterbacks are starting to develop a little bit. We'll morph into what we need to do to move the ball and score. I'm not sure yet what it's going to be like, but they're picking things up. It's going to be exciting football, I can tell you that, in the Fleet. It will be exciting. We will. We're going to pedal to the metal, no holes barred, and let the last man stand and win, as they say.
I love that we got the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, and then football continues in February with the Alliance. Coach, it was an absolute pleasure. Thanks for making time.
Thank you.
All right, great stuff by Mike Martz. Really appreciate his time. Adam Gase is the new coach of the Jets. His press conference is weird, so we made it easier for people to digest by putting together a children's rhyme around it. It's coming up next year on Writer's Block. All right, welcome back into New York City and Writer's Block here on CBS Sports HQ. I'm your host, Bill Reiter. Thanks for being here. I think it's going to be a pretty good year for Duke fans, but it wasn't a very good night. They lose to Syracuse at home, so we're going to go inside the numbers on what happened to the top team in the country, and we start with the number 90, as in Duke had been 90-0 as the AP's number one team in the country when hosting unranked opponents. That is not a great loss. Next up is number 5 in the past 10 seasons. An unranked road team has beaten the nation's number one team just 5 times. Using my deductive math skills, that's once every 2 years. How about number 3 here on the program? Jim Boeheim now has 3 road wins versus the AP top number one team. That is the most in the history of college basketball. 17 next on Inside the Numbers. The Blue Devils were 17-point favorites against Syracuse, which made Syracuse the largest underdog in its history. Obviously a bit of a chip on their shoulder about being so underrated. 48 next up. Syracuse's 48 first half points were the most Duke has allowed all season long. And 32, Tyus Battle led the Orange with a season high 32 points. But you can't win them all, and don't despair, Duke fans. We got a number for you, a better one, number 35 on Inside the Numbers. Despite the loss, Zion Williamson, he does this like every game, set the Duke single game freshman record with 35 points. He also had 10 rebounds, so also a double-double. Absolute beast, absolute stud. My kids watch the show sometimes, right? And they're younger, they're 9 and 6, and they want a storybook. They want me to, I read them books at bedtime. So we've created one for children that I think sports fans will really enjoy too. It's the Adam Gase Comes to New York Nursery Rhymes with Bill Reiter. Look at that, I'm so excited to read it. And here we go. With the season over and no opponent to await, the Jets prepared to introduce their new face. That man of courage, of course, was Adam Gase. With all these tall buildings and new faces to teach, Adam realized he was no longer on Miami Beach. But maybe this place won't be so bad after all. Adam thought, now maybe I'll have someone to actually give the ball? Wait no more, Tannehill, Gase thought with joy. But no more Minka Fitzpatrick was like losing his favorite toy. That's sad. But now Adam has the president on defense. It's coming full circle. He always thought Nick Saban looked better in purple. Still, Adam wondered if he made the right choice. Hearing New York is shady, also still having to deal with that guy, Tom Brady. He's the bad guy in this story. Will it really be any different in a varied shade of green? Adam knew the New York media could be so very, very mean. Promising the Jets will be back like Arnold, Adam has a new best friend with the name, you guessed it, kids, Sam Darnold. Joyful and ecstatic to begin his new job, though a bit tired, all Gase hopes is he doesn't hear once again, Adam, you're fired. What a great story. Sleep well. Yes, absolutely. The end. I hope everybody he gets fired many times. I need more Adam Gase introductory press conferences. Thank you for hanging out. We're going to keep you covered here on CBS Sports HQ, which is what's going on in the world of sports in 30 minutes. We'll try to make you some money on Sportsline, and we're back here tomorrow. Hope you join us on Writer's Block, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, every day, Monday to Friday. I'm Bill Reiter. Thank you for being here.